Hey there. Tonight I am reviewing All Systems Down by Sam Boush. Hi folks, welcome back to Premeditated Fiction. I am RJ Beam, and in this video we are reviewing Book 1 in the Cyber Wars series, All Systems Down. This book is scary. It's not a horror book. It is a thriller. It is an action thriller, but it has some things that are rather scary about it, because when you think about it, when there is an emergency, one of two things usually happens. We see the best out of people, or we see the worst out of people. And in this particular story, the way society falls apart, the basic plot line here is about some hackers from North Korea and China, Russia even, basically taking down the U.S. power grid. They gain access to some Wi-Fi controlled devices like cars, and so they're able to shut down most of the cars on the road. And you think about a crowded, congested highway at rush hour. Even if you just shut down a quarter of the cars, if you were to gain access through like the OnStar or whatever vehicle onboard diagnostic system you have, just a quarter of the cars, you shut them down, bumper to bumper traffic, it stopped, it's done. So they wreak havoc. These hackers just wreak havoc. And of course, in the course of a day, by shutting everything down in the United States, society basically falls apart. And you end up with, folks who would normally be willing to help each other, but now it becomes survival of the fittest, which is what makes this kind of scary, because, when you really sit down and you think about it, how likely is this to happen? And it's probably a little over the top because it's fiction, but yet at the same time, you could see something like this. So the general story, you've got a number of different point of view characters, from one of the North Korean hackers who institutes this shutdown of everything, to a gentleman who is an out-of-work former boxer trying to, he's worked security, trying to get a job as a security guard even at the beginning of the story, when the hack happens in the middle of his job interview, and basically he's told, we'll talk to you later. So him trying to protect his family. There's a couple of Air Force officers, a pilot, and her, it's not co-pilot, in the F-18 Hornets, the person who sits in the back, though, the weapons and communications officer. They don't actually fly. They're the ones who drop the bombs. I can't remember what the term for them is. So you've got these two folks, and then there's also a couple other, there's a family that's camping at the time that everything shuts down. And, so they're out in the woods already, kind of, in a tent. And then when things kind of shut down, they're like, we can't stay here because, they need to get more supplies. They need to get, it's already cold out. They're already cold. They've been camping for a while. And then one of the other point of view characters is a lady who kind of goes crazy in the aftermath of everything going down, where she begins to loot, and in the course of looting, she kills someone, and next thing you know, she realizes that she has a taste for killing, and that just looting isn't what she wants to do. She's kind of bloodthirsty. So it's one of those stories where most every chapter comes from a different point of view character. There's a couple chapters that even intermingle these point of view characters, and eventually by the end of the story, they start coming together. That the camping family, they hike into town, they meet up with the gentleman I told you about who's the boxer. The Air Force pilots, or the Navy pilots, sorry, they're not Air Force, the Navy pilots, their plane crashes. They eventually get into town. The city the city that the story takes place in is Portland, and eventually everybody kind of gets together. And while obviously they don't, well, I don't want to give away the end of the story. They don't bring an end to the war, but they come together to, set up for the next book. Obviously, this is Cyber Wars Book 1, so they'll put things together to go into the next book. This is a pretty fun read. Like I said, it's scary when you sit there. There were a couple points where I read some chapters and I thought, what would I do? How would my family last in this kind of a situation? So the author really did a great job of just kind of painting this picture of this bleak, post-disaster situation where, some people band together, some people don't. People go on the run, and just how the folks who really have the right mindset will survive, and folks who don't have the right mindset might not. There was one character I didn't particularly care for, that the Navy, not the pilot, but the weapons intercept officer, the person who sits in the back. His name was Orion. He just did not seem like an Air Force officer. I understood why the author kind of made him an annoying person, because not everybody can be so perfect. But just the way he acted, I thought to myself, I can't see a Navy aviator acting like this. I mean, I know there is the bravado that comes around with pilots and Navy aviators, but this guy just seemed ignorant. But if that was my only complaint about the book, that's a minor complaint. Just that one character that kind of rubbed you the wrong way. And he wasn't even really a point of view character. He was just the sidekick to one of the point of view characters. So I really have some high hopes for the next book in this series. This first one was pretty strong. It was a real page turner. I blew through it in just a couple of days, and I wanted to know what happened next, and I really want to know what's going to happen in the next book. So if you're looking for a fun read, something that will definitely keep you, turning the pages and potentially even keep you up at night wanting to read more, All Systems Down, Sam Boush, which is book 1 in the Cyber Wars series. I really highly suggest it. All right, I got a free review copy through NetGalley for this unbiased review. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with premeditated fiction. Otherwise, I will talk to you again later. Thank you. Bye.